Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are going to stare directly into the abyss.
I like that. The abyss.
We are tackling what I think is the single most terrifying question in marketing. It's the one that, wakes VPs up at 3 a.m. in a cold sweat.
Yeah.
And that question is, how do I actually know if any of this money I'm spending is working?
It sounds so simple, right? But if you ask 10 marketers that, you'll get 10 different answers. And, well, usually 9 of them involve a lot of hand-waving and a stack of confusing charts.
And zero proof.
Absolutely zero proof.
Exactly. And we're not just talking about vanity metrics today. We're talking about a concept from our research packet that I absolutely love. It's called dashboard theater.
Dashboard theater. It's perfect, isn't it? It's the art of making everything look green and up and to the right, while the actual business might be, burning down.
So today we're cutting through all that theater. We are deep diving into account penetration.
This is really the antidote to all the fluff. It's the difference between feeling like you're crushing it because you got a bunch of likes,
right,
and knowing with mathematical certainty that you're influencing the specific human beings who sign the checks.
Okay, so we've got a massive stack of notes here, articles, a whole methodology to get through. Our mission is pretty blunt. We're going to unpack why your current metrics are probably lying to you.
Especially if you're in B2B.
Especially if you're in B2B or account-based marketing, and we are going to find the North Star metric that actually predicts revenue.
Just a fair warning to anyone listening, this might be a bit of a wake-up call.
That wake-up call is being polite. I read the first case study in the packet, and I physically winced. It's called the $40,000 wake-up call.
Yeah, this story is the perfect anchor for this whole discussion. It really exposes the gap between what we think is happening in our ad accounts and what reality is.
Okay, so set the scene for us.
So, picture a VP of marketing at a Series B SaaS company.
Okay, so high stakes. Investors are breathing down your neck. You need growth, like yesterday.
Very. And this VP is feeling fantastic. High-fiving the team, walk around the office with the strut. They think their ABM program, their account-based marketing, is just on fire.
And why? Because the dashboard says so.
Precisely. They had just dropped $40,000 on a digital ad campaign. And if you look at the platform data, it was a home run. They got 80,200 impressions.
Okay.
127 clicks.
Yep.
And the holy grail, 14 form fills.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. I have to play devil's advocate for a second.
Go for it.
14 leads. In B2B SaaS, a contract can be, what, 50, 100 grand? I would probably take 14 leads for 40K. That sounds like a win. Why is this a horror story?
See, that is exactly the trap. On paper, it looks like a win. Most marketers would take that data, put it in a slide deck, and then go ask for a budget increase. And that is exactly what they were doing until an auditor came in.
Ah, the fun police.
Or the truth teller, depending on how much you value your job. This person looked at the 14 leads and asked one very uncomfortable question.
Which was?
Of your 150 target accounts, the specific companies you absolutely need to win to hit your number, how many did you actually influence?
Okay, now I see the distinction. It's not how many leads total, it's how many of the right leads.
Exactly. And the VP says, well, we got 14 leads, so maybe 14 accounts. But then they actually pulled the raw data. They cross-referenced the ad clicks with their target account list. And the result was devastating.
Break it down.
Okay, so first off, 6 of those 14 leads, they were from totally random companies, small businesses, consultants, people not on the target list at all.
So that's nearly half your success gone instantly. These are people who, even if they buy, they're not moving the needle on the company's goals. They're just noise.
They're effectively noise. Correct. But it gets worse.
Oh,
the remaining 8 leads were scattered across 8 different target accounts. So do the math with me. You spent $40,000. You have a must-win list of 150 accounts.
Yep.
And you touched 8 of them.
That is painful math.
It means 142 of their 150 priority accounts saw zero influence from that entire $40,000 spend.
Wow. So the dashboard is just screaming, success, green arrows, 8,000 impressions. But the business reality is you just ignored 95% of your market.
That is the ABM measurement gap in a nutshell. You can have beautiful click-through rates, really efficient cost per click, and still be reaching absolutely nobody who matters to your bottom line.
It's like throwing a massive, expensive party, having hundreds of people show up and claiming it's a huge success. But then you realize none of the friends you actually invited even came.
That is a perfect analogy, and you're still paying for all the catering.
And you got to clean up the mess. So this brings us to the core philosophy of today's deep dive. The research boils it down to one phrase that I think every marketer needs, like tattooed on their forearm: clicks are vanity. Account penetration is sanity.
It's catchy, but it's also just technically accurate. And to understand why, we need to look at what the material calls the measurement maturity ladder. It's a framework to help you figure out where your organization is kind of stuck.
Okay, let's climb this ladder. What's at the bottom? Level 1.
Level 1 is vanity metrics, and this is where, frankly, most of us live. It's clicks, impressions, click-through rate, or CTR, cost per click.
But wait, hold on. I have to push back a little again. Are those totally useless?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if ad A has a much higher click rate than ad B, doesn't that tell me ad A is better? I don't want to just throw the baby out with the bathwater here.
It tells you ad A is better at getting clicks.
Okay.
It's useful for optimizing creative, sure. If you want to know which color button works, check your CCR. But it tells you nothing, absolutely nothing about business impact. You can have great CTR from people who will never, ever buy your product.
So it's measuring the ad's performance, not the account's interest.
Exactly. It's technical performance, not business performance. Now, level 2 gets a bit better. This is campaign metrics. So cost per lead, form fills, demo requests.
This feels like the standard. This is what my boss wants to see. How many MQL's marketing qualified leads did we get this week?
It is the standard, and it is better because it's measuring an outcome. But the research points out a huge flaw here. It completely misses the dark funnel.
Okay, we hear this term dark funnel a lot. It sounds kind of ominous. So we're all on the same page. How are we defining it here?
Think of it like the silent majority of your market. It's where all your buyers are consuming your content, listening to your podcasts, reading your LinkedIn posts, discussing you in their private Slack channels, but they haven't filled out a form yet.
So if I'm only measuring form fills, which is level 2, I am completely blind to all of that activity.
You're optimizing for the 1% who are ready to buy right now, and you are blind to the 99% who are in the process of learning. Which brings us up to level 3, account penetration.
The promised land.
This is the ABM zone. This measures 2 things: buying committee coverage and narrative completion. It doesn't ask how many clicks did we get. It asks, are we penetrating the specific accounts we need to win?
So here's my question. Why is this so hard? If this is so obviously better, why are we all still stuck down at level 1 or 2? Is it just, I don't know, laziness?
No, it's not laziness, it's structural. The research argues it's a platform problem. Right. And this is where we have to get a little technical about how these ad platforms actually work.
Okay, let's unpack that, because I think we all just assume that Google and LinkedIn are on our side.
They are definitely not. Think about how LinkedIn or Facebook makes their money. They sell attention. Their algorithms are designed to show the right ad to the person most likely to click right now.
Right.
They're optimizing for click probability.
Which might be an intern who clicks on everything or a consultant, but not the CFO who's careful with their time and almost never clicks on ads?
Right. The algorithm wants that dopamine hit of a click because that is how they charge you. It doesn't care about your 6-month B2B sales cycle. And worse, it doesn't care about your story.
What do you mean it doesn't care about the story?
Well, imagine you have a 7-part video series that explains why your product is revolutionary. You need people to see part 1, then part 2, then part 3. The algorithm doesn't care about that. It might show episode 7 to a prospect before they've ever even seen episode 1.
That's like watching the season finale of a TV show before you've even seen the pilot. You'd be totally lost.
Totally. Or the algorithm sees that a user paused on episode 3 for a second, so it just shows them episode 3 10 more times. It maximizes for engagement, not for comprehension.
So the platforms are optimizing for their revenue, which is clicks, not for our narrative delivery. We're basically fighting the algorithm just to get our story told properly.
Essentially, yes. You're trying to tell a complex business story in an environment that was built for cat videos and hot takes.
Okay, that makes so much sense why we're failing. The tools are actually fighting us. So if the platforms won't do it, we have to do it ourselves. So what are we actually measuring? The research breaks this down into the 3 questions that matter.
This framework is really the meat of the whole methodology.
Yeah.
If you want to claim you have account penetration, you have to be able to answer these 3 questions.
Right, let's hit the first one. Metric 1, coverage.
The question here is simple. How many relevant decision makers at this account have seen our content?
And the emphasis there has to be on relevant.
A huge emphasis.
Yeah.
This isn't about total impressions. If you're targeting Microsoft and you get 500 impressions, but they're all from like the cafeteria staff or entry-level coders, your coverage is effectively 0.
Got it.
The question is, of the 5 people on the buying committee, the VP, the director, the CFO, How many have we actually reached?
The text mentions a nuance here about checking coverage per episode. Why does that matter? Why not just, did they see the campaign?
Because of the drop-off. You might have great coverage on your first ad because the platform blasts it out to everyone. But are those same people seeing the second ad and the third? If your coverage drops from 90% on episode 1 to, say, 10% on episode 2, you've lost the room. You're not building a case. You just annoyed them once.
Got it. It's about holding the room. Okay, so metric 2, frequency.
The question here is, how many times has each decision maker been exposed to the narrative?
This feels like marketing 101. The old rule of 7, you have to see something 7 times to remember it. But I guess in digital marketing, we forget about that because we're so focused on just fresh content.
We really do. We think, oh, they saw the post, they know us now. But the source is pretty blunt about this. Seeing a CEO's post one time 3 weeks ago, that's just a blip. That's not penetration. It's just noise.
Right. Psychologically, we need that repetition to trust something.
It's the mere exposure effect. You have to be seen enough times that you become familiar. It's the difference between, I think I've heard of them, and, oh yeah, I see their stuff everywhere. You want to be the solution that feels inevitable.
Which leads us to the most advanced metric, and honestly, the one that seems hardest to pull off. Metric 3, progression, or what it calls sequence completion.
This one is the hardest to track, for sure, but it's the most valuable. The question is, did they consume the full story arc, or did they drop off early?
So assuming we have a narrative, a logic flow that runs across, say, 7 ads or episodes,
Sure.
we need to know who actually made it to the finale.
Right, because an account that saw episodes 1 through 7 is fundamentally different from an account that only saw episode 1. The account that saw the whole story is warm. They get your problem, your solution, your differentiation. The one who only saw episode 1, they are barely aware you exist.
This is such a huge shift from just looking at a pile of impressions and saying, we did good. It's qualitative data at scale.
It completely changes the definition of success. Success isn't millions of views. Success is Microsoft's buying committee saw our entire story from start to finish.
Okay, let's make this practical. I love the theory, but I'm a marketer sitting at my desk. I have this data. What do I actually physically do with it? Because if I just hand my sales team a spreadsheet of impressions, they're going to laugh me out of the room.
And they should. Sales reps hate marketing leads because usually they're garbage. But this is different. The source gives us a specific artifact to create. It's called the warm account list.
The warm account list. It sounds promising, but I can already hear some sales reps rolling their eyes. How is this any different from a standard lead list?
So it's a report you hand to sales every week. Just visualize a spreadsheet. Column A is the account name, let's say, Microsoft. Column B is the status, episodes 1 to 7 consumed.
Okay, so right away we know that they know the story. Sales isn't going in cold.
Column C is coverage. 78% of the buying committee reached. 4 out of 5 people.
Now that is powerful.
Yeah.
You know exactly who's missing. Hey, we haven't reached the CFO yet.
Exactly. And then column D notes, high engagement on episode 3.
Okay, so compare this for me to the old way.
The old way is marketing throwing a list of leads over the wall. You know, maybe someone downloaded a generic ebook 3 months ago. The sales rep calls them, and it is ice cold. Hi, I'm calling from Acme Corp.
And the prospect hangs up or says, take me off your list.
Right. The response rate is usually like, what, 1-2%?
Yeah.
It's a grind, and it just burns out your sales team. But with the warm account list, the sales outreach is totally transformed.
So walk me through the new way call. What does the salesperson actually say?
So the salesperson looks at the list. They see Microsoft has consumed the whole story about, let's say, the organic reach crisis. They see the VP of marketing has been engaging with that specific content.
So they're not calling to just check in. They're calling about a specific topic that they know the prospect has been thinking about.
So the script becomes, hi, I noticed your team has been engaging with our CEO's content about the organic reach crisis. Sounds like you all are dealing with similar challenges right now.
That is a completely different vibe. You're joining a conversation they're already having in their own head.
And here is the aha moment the expert describes. The prospect replies, oh yeah, I've been seeing your guys' stuff everywhere lately. We were actually just talking about that in our Monday meeting.
The I've seen you everywhere effect.
That is the compound effect of sequenced exposure. You aren't fighting for attention anymore. You've already earned it. And at that point, marketing isn't just a cost center burning cash on ads. It's a pipeline engine with receipts.
With receipts. I love that. You can prove exactly why that account is warm. It aligns sales and marketing in a way that brand awareness campaigns never, ever could.
Precisely. It turns that tension between sales and marketing into a collaboration. Instead of sales asking, what is marketing even doing?
Mhm.
They're asking, when do I get the next warm account list?
But as with anything worth doing, there are definitely ways to mess this up. The material lists a few common mistakes. What should we be watching out for?
The biggest one, and we touched on this with the $40 case story, is the vanity trap. Celebrating your total impressions without filtering for the target account list.
The notes call this the 4% efficiency rate problem.
Right. If you get 50,000 impressions, but only 2,000 of them are from your target list, you're running at 4% efficiency. You're wasting 96 cents of every single dollar. But if you only look at that big 50,000 number, you think you're a genius.
That is a career-limiting mistake if someone ever audits you.
Another mistake is ignoring sequence progression. Just because they saw you 100 times doesn't mean they understand you. If they just saw episode 5 100 times, they're probably just annoyed. They need the story in order.
It's like watching the climax of a movie without seeing any of the setup. It just looks like noise and explosions.
And finally, measuring at the campaign level instead of the account level. Measuring creative A versus creative B is fine for optimization, but it doesn't tell you if Microsoft is ready to buy. You have to look at the account view.
So to operationalize this, because we like to be practical here, what does the weekly routine look like? How do I start this on Monday morning?
It's surprisingly simple. The expert outlines a weekly rhythm. Monday. Marketing pulls the warm account list. Who crossed the threshold of sequence complete this past week?
So you're harvesting the ripe fruit. You're not bothering sales with unripe leads.
Tuesday through Thursday, sales works that list. And crucially, they use the specific context. I saw you like the post about X.
And Friday.
Review. Look at the penetration progress. Where are people dropping off? Did we lose them at episode 4? If we did, maybe episode 4 needs a rewrite. It becomes a continuous feedback loop.
It seems so obvious when you lay it out like this, but it really does require a mental shift from broadcasting to narrowcasting.
It's shifting from how many people saw me to who specifically understands me.
So let's wrap this up. We started with the $40,000 disaster. The VP who thought they were winning, but was actually being ignored by 95% of their market.
A cautionary tale for all of us, for sure.
And we moved to the solution, the warm account list. Tracking coverage, frequency, and progression to actually know when an account is ready to talk.
And the credibility shift that comes with that is just massive. Imagine walking into a board meeting next quarter. Instead of defending your brand awareness spend with vague charts about clicks, you say, we spent $40,000, we penetrated 142 target accounts, and 23 of them are now in active sales conversations.
You can't argue with that. That's not marketing fluff. That is revenue.
It changes marketing from the coloring in department to a core driver of the business.
I want to leave our listeners with one final thought from the source material. It goes back to that dark funnel.
Yeah, this is a heavy one to end on. If you are not measuring penetration, if you're only looking at form fills, you are effectively ignoring the vast majority of your actual buyer journey.
The people who are interested, who are watching, but they're not ready to, marry you yet.
Exactly. In a B2B deal, the research phase can take months. If your only metric for success is, did they fill out a form today, you're going to turn off your ads right when they're starting to learn. You'll kill the campaign because the CPA is too high, not realizing you were building massive momentum.
It's short-term thinking versus long-term winning.
Measuring penetration shines a light into that dark funnel. It lets you see the future pipeline, not just today's leads.
So stop counting clicks and start counting coverage.
And make sure the people you want to sell to actually know who you are.
Sounds like a plan. Thanks for walking us through this.
My pleasure.
And to you, the listener, go check your dashboard. Is it telling you the truth or just what you want to hear? We'll see you on the next deep dive.